Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai,
Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai.
O Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari,
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari.
O Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe,
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe,
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
O Radhe, 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 Radhe,
Radhe, Radhe,
Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhabaka Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Mahabhagavat Paramahamsa Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantamanapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Munimanatoshmi Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunaivartino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvalarasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Satipita Sadahridare Kandare Swaratu Vasachinandanaha Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charantikam. And first of all, offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vrayate. And all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. So, continuing with our study of Jaiva-Dharma, and yesterday we did the first 4, so we'll do the next 5 today. Jadedvaita Jnana Hoya
Chita
Chita Upadaya
Upadaya
Krishna
Krishna
Bhakti
Bhakti
Chiradina
Chiradina
Upaya
Upaya
Upaya.
Upaya. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upay, means of attainment, and the upayi, goal worthy of attainment.
This is not simply saying it that this literature is not about the duality of this dull material world, but our very consciousnesses are most of the time, for most of us, immersed in the dull material considerations of this material world. We're mostly planning how to support our material existence one way or another. That's what occupies most people's consciousnesses most of the time. Perhaps if we're blessed with some healthy sadhan bhajan, we can be chanting for a few hours in the morning, remembering Radha and Krishna, reading, remembering. But gradually we want to bring this divine duality within to the heart as a prominent feature, to try and be all the time appreciating that I am not from this material world. This material world is not my home. I am a foreigner in a foreign land. It's very easy when you're living in somewhere like India and you are a foreigner anyway. But we should consider that this whole material world is a foreign place for my soul. My soul essentially is coming from the Chit um, Shakti, from the spiritual realm. That's the nature of my soul. So the spirit soul is simply waiting for that time when the material consciousness will become purified sufficiently to have the principal focus on that spiritual dimension. That means all our practices, our activities, our relationships, our friends, everything we're doing is like in focus with that spiritual desire to achieve the service to the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. If that is our strong desire, then by the mercy of our practice, by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Radha and Krishna, that desire will be fulfilled for sure. And the mercy of Jaiva-Dharma, of course. Jiva
Jiva
Kabu
Kabu
Jadanai,
Jadanai,
Hari
Hari
Kabu
Kabunai,
Nai, Hari
Hari
Saha Jiva
Sahajiva
Chintya
Chintya
Veda
Veda
Veda Mai.
Vedamai. The Jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevala Advaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari.
It's saying this second part because the option to appreciating the goal is moksha. If I'm not looking towards Radha and Krishna's seva, then the sadhak will be looking for his own liberation from suffering. We're all in a suffering condition. We all want to be freed from that suffering. But if that's our focus and our principal desire, just to be freed from the suffering, that is called moksha. That is mukti, that is liberation. That is not the essential goal. The essential goal is what do we do after liberation? Liberation is like a link in the chain. But there's another link, and that is our eternal seva. And we have to be educated in that. That's not just going to happen, by chance. It's not just going to flow into the consciousness if I'm not looking in the right direction. I have to be guided into the precepts of what is our study now is Raganuga Bhakti. What is that higher option for the spirit soul, especially now at this time, with the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This miracle can become realized. Previously, this was never existing before Mahaprabhu. This option of Raganuga Bhakti. Ragmarg was there, but not anything to the same degree that it's there now. Now it's flourishing strongly. This river of rag is flowing rapidly. All these principal acharyas from Rupa Goswami all the way down have propagated this path of rag marg. And the sincere seeker will hear that and recognize that in all of their preachings and teachings. It'll be there. Once you've opened that door to that option, you'll see it everywhere. But until you open the door, you're not going to appreciate it. You'd be looking at this and judging with the intellect and the logical mind about different considerations, rather than the heart's mood of devotion. That's what will be happening.
The Jiva is inconceivably different and non different from Hari.
Yes, we discussed this in the 18th chapter.
Deha
Deha
Kabu
Kabu
Jivanai,
Jivanai,
Dhara
Dhara
Bhogyanai,
Bhogyanai,
Dasa
Dasa
Bhoga
Bhoga
Jiva
Jiva
Krishna
Krishna
Prabhu
Prabhu
Bhoktahai.
Bhoktahai.
The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy.
Because that's all we do if we think with this earthly body, because we have to, by nature, it's our nature to enjoy. We are enjoyers by nature. So if we're not enjoying the spiritual journey, we're going to be seeking pleasure. We have to be seeking pleasure in the material world. And that means exploitation of Krishna's energies for my own gratification. That's what it means.
The jiva swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Sri Krishna's swarup is Prabhu, master and bhokta, enjoyer.
Yes, we are always anuchit, and Krishna is vibhuchit. Krishna is the greater aspect, and that devotion must be generated. Actually, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, when he came to the West, we can map it. We can see from scratch, basically, coming from the Western world, how what was the first ingredient that had to be given was the conception of a personal form of the Lord. This is what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gave his whole life to actually establish this one principle alone, that Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. But then there is something more. There is always something more until we actually come to direct seva to Radha and Krishna. Because my Gurudev used to say many times, your Prabhupada has come to teach you Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and I've come to teach you that he's not. Because actually, if you're thinking that conception, we're going to discuss today what is Sambandha or Sambandha Anuga Bhakti. This is direct service to Krishna in Raganuga Bhakti. But if you're not in that Rag Marg place, you will be looking to the Aishwarya aspect of Krishna, which will take you to a completely different conception to what you're eligible for with the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is giving us this special eligibility. It's very, very, very so rare. And how many individuals actually pick it up? Most don't, because it's so esoteric. It's a place of the heart. It's a place of feeling. It's a place of emotion, bhav, etc. That you can't really describe. It has to be realized through our practices. Unless we're practicing this, where because it's not something you can study to some degree and get on track, but then you need to practice to get the taste. Because if we're not getting a taste, we're just going to drop it. Why should we keep doing something that we don't get a taste for? But if we're actually experiencing a higher state of consciousness by thinking about the beautiful pastimes of Vrindavan, constantly trying to implant that Braj Leela conception into our consciousnesses over and above all the um, logical, rational considerations that I might have gone through, because they are like very temporary. It's the Leela we want to catch up with. The Leela is them, and we can do it very simply through following the process of this Astakaliya meditation, 8 different pastimes of the day. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he spells it out. He gives it here very clearly. Deha
He
kabo
Prabhu Jiva
jivanai
Nai,
dhara
Dhara
bhogya
Bhogya
nai
Nai, Dasya
dasya bhoga
Bhogya
jiva
Jiva
krishna
Krishna
prabhu
Prabhu
bhakta
Bhokta Hoy.
hai.
The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and
Oh,
enjoy.
we've just done this. We just read this. Jaiva-Dharma ache deha dharma kata ache jiva gyan mayavada prata.
This book, entitled Jaiva-Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavada doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm.
We are safe. This is what this treatise, this book is about. We're safe. Okay. Jiva
Jiva
nitya
nitya dharma
dharma
bhakti
bhakti
tahe
tahe
jadanai,
jadanai Shuddha
Shuddha
jiva
jiva
prema
prema seva
seva
phale
phala
payatai.
payatai.
The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti devoid of material motivation. The jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prema.
How can there be any material motivation when our aspiration is for a spiritual transcendental goal? This material world is governed by parameters of time, past, present, and future, and space. That transcendental world, those qualities are absent. Time and space is absent there. It's a whole nother dimension. And it takes great courage and fortitude to actually develop the aspiration to go that route. It's like Bhakti Rakshakshita Maharaj used to say, die to live. It's like all our previous conditioned understandings have to be nullified. And we leave this whole conception and we go to another consideration of what is transcendence. It's a journey. It's a journey. Okay, we'll come to our chapter now. Falshruti Ki Jai. So, yesterday we discussed what is Tat Tat Bhav Ichamai and what is Sambhog Ichamai. Coming to, I said 5 types of sakis, remember? Saki, Pransaki, Nityasaki, or Nityasaki, Pransaki, Priyasaki, and Priyanam Sakis. Without understanding this principle, this science of Vrindavan, and all of the distinctive features of Vrindavan, it's such a phenomenal meditation. There are so many considerations because the backdrop is parakiya. So everything has to be secret. The loving, romantic exchanges between Krishna and all the different Braja Gopis, it has to be very much kept undercover. So it has to be secretly arranged by all the gopis, by Punamasi, especially by Vrinda Devi. All these personalities are assisting. And then personalities like Mukhara, the grandmother of Sri Radha. All these different personalities are supporting Radha and Krishna meeting in a very clandestine, secretive way, which heightens the whole rasa of the exchanges. So it becomes more and more astonishing and more sweet as we appreciate it more. But there are many, many, many thousands of details amongst the considerations of Braj. So these 2 words, Sambhog, Ichamai, means, Icha means desire. Sambhog means union. It means those gopis who desire union. Not only desire union, but are eligible for union. You may, unless you have the adhikar for that union, the staiba manifesting from Sri Radhika's own body, her kaya vyuha, you're not eligible for that union. You have to be blessed with the adhikar for that union with Krishna, to dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to embraced by Him, to embrace Him in reciprocation. That's called Sambhogichamai. So 3 of those sakis, the Saki, Priya Saki and Priyanam Sakis, they can have that Sambhog Ichamai. The other 2 Sakis, the Nitya Saki and the Pran Saki, they will engage in Tat Tat Bhav Ichamai. They don't have a desire for Sambhog or meeting. They only want to serve Sri Radhika. They only want to become tadatmic with Radha. That's why it's called Tat Tad. This Tat Tad Bhav. That means they want to become one in service to Radhika. It's a whole meditation. It really is. It's very relishable. But these 2 types of sakis, distinct sakis, are described. That's what we talked about yesterday. And we also discussed yesterday, we came to the conclusion, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing us to this place of consideration of what is Kam Anuga Bhakti and what is Sambandha Anuga Bhakti. Kam Anuga Bhakti means they have transcendental calm, transcendental attraction to Krishna, which appears like the lust of this material world. That's why it's so dangerous, because many uneducated, unqualified people, they exploit that aspect and try to present it in a way that is like this transcendental, this material world rather. But it's not, it's completely of a different degree. This calm of the gopis is without a single cent of desire for their own pleasure. Massive distinction. This material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Everything in the spiritual world is focused on pleasing Krishna. When we realize how beautiful is Krishna, how sweet is Krishna, how special is Krishna, we just want to please him. And like in this world, perhaps if we get the fortune to meet a pure devotee, perhaps some met Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, they will attest to the sweetness of that relationship when they were with him. They only wanted to be with him and please him. What did Bhaktivedanta Swami encourage in those followers of his? Just amazing seva, right? They were young men. Their senses were like ready to enjoy fully in life. They were 18, 19, 20 years old, many of them. Their senses were young and strong, and yet they were attracted to Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. They gave him everything of their energy, their life's energy. They were ready to die for him. They went beyond their capacity. They went every day on the street distributing books or Harinam, so many activities like that. But this is an example of dedication to someone who you love. So what to speak of Krishna directly? So this chapter is dealing with matters that are beyond the material world. It's dealing with Raganuga Bhakti. This is the title of the chapter. Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. This is the title of the chapter. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, only in this chapter, he's carrying us across that Viraja river into the transcendental world. And we spent a whole day discussing the different levels just outside of this material world, Siddha Loka and the Jnani Bhaktas, etc., and Paramatma realization. There was a whole day when we discussed that also, reaching up to the Vaikunthas with those four states of liberation, Salokya, Samipya, Sharsti, Sarupya, these liberations, and then Sayuja Mukti, where those demons will get, that'll be in Siddhaloka also, across the Viraja river. And then we came into the consideration of Mathura and Dwarkadish, serving just Krishna, not Krishna in Vrindavan. Because as soon as you come to Vrindavan, the consideration has to be, well, who are you following in Vrindavan? Because if we want to serve in Vrindavan, we have to be following one of the residents of Vrindavan. So if we're following the Braja Gopis, this is Kam Anuga. And if we're following the other residents who are serving Krishna, this is Sambandha Anuga. That's what we're going to discuss today. So that's like where we're up to. So it's all a transcendental topic, really, from the beginning. So how to keep our feet on the ground by thinking of Mahaprabhu. When we think of Mahaprabhu, that always brings us to a steady vision. When Mahaprabhu is brought into the equation, everything becomes tangible, everything becomes acceptable. If you're in a group and there's no discussion or appreciation of Mahaprabhu, it can just become so much Leela orientated that there's no kind of like platform. Our platform is Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu was the strictest sannyasi, so strict, demonstrating it's got nothing to do with trying to flaunt the rules in this world. When we're trying to bring out this spontaneous mood from the heart, there's no boundaries to spontaneity, right? Spontaneity means there's no walls, there's no restriction, it's completely open and free. But in the heart, there has to be absolute respect for the parameters of correct behavior externally. This path is only about the internal journey of Raganuga. It's not about the externally. I've said this verse many times. Vidimag Rata Jane Swadinata Ratna Jane Rag Mag Karuna Pravesh. That when the principles of Vaidhi Mag are properly followed carefully, Krishna will bestow the mercy to, or the eligibility to perform this Raganuga Bhakti. So Vaidhi Marg has to be followed very strictly until we no longer want even a speck of pleasure from this material world. If we want anything from this material world, we stay in the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. If we have done with this material world, like we see Vijay Kumar at the end, he becomes Nimai Babaji, and he's just living in Puri by the seaside, by the beach, and he's just chanting all day and he's accepting Madhukari. He's come to that place where he's left all the material considerations behind completely. Therefore, his eligibility to embrace fully this path is there. We simply have to hear about these topics to develop the appreciation for these topics and aspire for this at some point in the future, at least. It's like fixing our goal. Unless we have the goal fixed, how are we going to proceed? What will our goal will simply revert to moksha or liberation, or even worse, calm, wanting material wealth, etc. That's where it'll go to. I'm open to any questions. Okay, so we've come to halfway down, page 495. Yes,
497.
is it? Oh, yes, correct. Sorry. I'm glad you're on it, Gokul. 497, yes. So yesterday, I said that I wanted to read this last paragraph again, because this just puts it, we've talked about calm anuga. That was in the previous paragraph. That means it's saying no desire for some, both. It is prem, or what's that?
Jadiya Kam.
Hang on, there is some difference between calm and prem. Yes, we talked about this. And prem can be focused on Krishna if it's not calm anuga. If it's sambandha anuga, that Ishtadev, like you said yesterday, is Krishna. But in calm anuga, as a gopi, as a manjari, your mood is towards Sri Radhika. So we read that prem becomes calm rupa bhakti when it is combined with the desire for sambhog with Krishna. Calm rupa bhakti is not present in any other ras. It is found only in the Sringara ras of the Brajadevis.
Vijaydevis.
Calm in this material world takes the form of sense gratification, and it is quite different to apricot calm. The calm of this material world is only a perverted reflection of or transformation of the faultless apricot calm. And when it says perverted, it's the perfect word, because everything here is a perversion. The perversion here is that everything is selfishly orientated. Everything is about me fulfilling my desires. But in the spiritual world, everything is about satisfying Krishna. So does that seem a very high? But actually, it's not really high. It's just purifying our selfishness, isn't it? This should demonstrate to the sensitive devotee actually how selfish we really are, how utterly selfish we are. And as soon as we acknowledge that, then we can purify it. Without acknowledging the enemy, it's like an alcoholic. If he doesn't admit he's an alcoholic, he can't be cured. It's like a madman. If a madman doesn't know he's mad, then he's completely mad. But as soon as a madman knows he's mad, yes, I'm mad, then he can start to address the problem. So if I know the depths of my selfish behavior in regards to my service to Krishna, then I can start to rectify that. It's very special. It's really special. We should seek those devotees that we have faith in that have dedicated their lives fully to this service to Radha and Krishna. And then we can imbibe their qualities and take inspiration from them. So now this paragraph, Jadiya Kam, lust in relation to the inert, lifeless matter, is based on sense gratification, and it is only a transformation of misery. It is worthless and contemptible. So why do we hold on to it? Why do we hold on to this material conception thinking that we're going to be happy when what seems to be the result is simply more misery? We must be crazy. We're holding on to this material conception even though it's filled with misery. It doesn't make sense, does it? People aren't thinking. They're not awake. Anudita vivek. They're sleeping. They're working hard to try and get some sense enjoyment. And what appears to be the result of that hard work is more misery. Even if I start to get ahead materially, then suddenly I have a toothache. Then suddenly I get sick. Then suddenly the car is broken. Then suddenly this happens, or that happens, or this happens, or that happens. There's a constant barrage of miserable experiences. And yet we still keep going, determined, convinced. This is called Maya. She is very, very, very powerful. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada used to chastise his Western disciples, saying, "You don't know how powerful is Maya. You don't know how powerful she is. You think because you're chanting a little bit of Hare Krishna, you're beyond Maya. No, she's right there in all kinds of different illusory ways." So this Jadiya Kam is relating to this. Kam based on prem is full of ananda and is supremely valuable and always joyful. Even in Bhagavad Gita, what's that?
Kama Esha
Raja Vidya Raja Guya
Vibhutam.
Pavitram Itamutamam Pratyakshavagam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. It's saying at the beginning, I think, of the ninth chapter. Yes, beautiful verse. That this Raja Vidya Raja Guyam can be perceived by direct perception. This means by realization. And it is constantly joyful, everlasting, and joyfully performed. This is what Krishna is saying. This is the nature of the spiritual path in comparison to the material. Because we have to become at root convinced of these truths. If we're not convinced, how can our shraddha be strong? How can our nishta manifest if there's some wavering of doubt in the process? Should I try and go to Braj? Should I stay in this materially focused condition? I have to see clearly and be convinced in my heart individually of the reality of Braja Prem. Since Prakrita Kam, worldly lust, is insignificant and abominable, you should have no hesitation in using the word Aprakat Kam, transcendental lust. So that was the last paragraph we read yesterday. So now we're going to see if we can conclude this chapter somehow or other, but we might not be able to, but we'll have a go. Okay, Prabhu. Vrajanath.
Vrajanath. Now, please explain Raganuga Bhakti that is based on relationship. Sambandhana Sambandha Rupa. Babaji. Sambandhanuga Bhakti has the mood of being related to Krishna, and this relationship may be one of three
So
types.
it's all in the focus of Krishna, this sambandha, this relationship with Krishna, not with Radhika, like we were discussing before. It's a different section, sambandha anuga.
In Dasya, servitude; in Sakya, friendship; or in Vatsalya, parental. I am Krishna's servant, and Krishna is my master. I am Krishna's friend. I am Krishna's mother or father. All these moods are called relationship. Sambandhanuga Bhakti, is preeminently displayed only in the inhabitants of Vraja.
We're only talking about Braj because this chapter is titled Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. We've crossed over from Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti was discussed in the last chapter, all the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti. It's a separate consideration. So don't blur the two together. Rajanath.
Vrajanath, how does one cultivate Raganuga Bhakti in the mood of a servant, friend, or parent? Babaji, one who has awakened Ruchi for Dasya Ras follows Krishna's eternal servants such as Raktaka and Patraka and serves Krishna by following their particular mood of service imbued with Madhur
Krishna
Bhav.
has beautiful servants who help him dress. When he's very young, he's being dressed completely. But as he gets older, he wants to dress himself. But still, the servants are there to assist him for anything. They'll get the cloth out, etc., and assist him in so many different ways. They're in a mood completely of submissive servant to Krishna. It's a particular flavor and relish. Actually, that same mood was in the heart of Govinda Das, who's serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was called a Chaitasaka, which is like a servant. So he came from that Braj conception and served Mahaprabhu with the same dedicated mood of just serving. He doesn't want anything. He gets greatest pleasure and bliss. If you offered him Sakya Bhav, friendship, that's not where he feels comfortable. He feels comfortable as a servant. That's his joy. That's his ecstasy completely. He's blessed. It's a very special flavor.
One whose ruchi is towards Sakyaras serves Krishna by following the bhav, sentiment, and cheshta, endeavors of one of Krishna's priya sakas, such as Subal. One whose ruchi is towards Vatsalya ras engages in Krishna's service by following the bhav and activities of bhaktas such as Nanda and Yashoda, who have a parental relationship with him.
So all the way through, Rupa Goswami is saying in that essence of all advice, the Upadeshamrita, in the 8th verse, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtano Smritya Kramana Rasana Masirja Tishtem Braji Tanuragi Janugami. In order to walk on this path of Raganuga, one must be following one of the residents of Braj. That might be a servant like Raktak or Praktak. It might be a Saka like Subal, Sridham, Stoka Krishna. It might be like that, or it might be following this parental mood of Mother Yashoda and none. But we're following in their footsteps, in the wake of, we are Rag Anugas, following the Ragatmikas. So this is all Samband Anuga Bhav, what we're talking about. Samband Anuga Bhakti, distinct from Kam Anuga Bhakti, which was just focused on having a conjugal relationship with Krishna. Two distinct, don't get them mixed up. Okay.
Vrajanath, what does it mean to follow Anukarana, the cheshta and bhavs? Babaji, according to one's eternal inherent nature, Siddha Bhav, towards Krishna, some specific bhavs and cheshta endeavors arise, and vyavahara activities are also manifested along with them. A sadhak performing Sambandhanuga Bhakti engages himself in Krishna's service by following these bhavs, cheshta, and vyavahara. For instance, Nanda Maharaj has the mood of paternal affection towards Krishna. So, one should follow all the endeavors that he makes to please Krishna, guided by the mood of paternal affection. But one should never consider that he himself is Nanda, Yashoda, Subala, or Raktaka.
Very important. That would become, it's called Ahangaropasika. It's when we start to actually consider that we are like that person. So you will meet Sahajiyas, different Babas, that have become immersed in it, and they all of a sudden think that they are that individual. that means they have no real respect for that individual. That means respect is a symptom of love. If you have the deepest respect for someone, it means you have the deepest love for that person. Respect and love are like synonymous. If you don't have that respect for that person that you're following, and you want to actually usurp his identity, this cannot be in the realm of sweetness and love. So this is very important. We're always following in the footsteps. This Braje, what did I say? Tishtan Braje Anuragi Janukami. Rupa Goswami is saying. Rather, one should simply follow.
Rather, one should simply follow the bhavs of the great bhaktas according to one's own ruchi. Otherwise, it will be an offense.
We're always looking for those great bhaktas. Hopefully, that will be our Gurudev. We are always wanting to follow his direction. That is why we are Shishya, to follow the direction of Guru in that way.
Vrajanath, which type of Raganuga Bhakti do we have the adhikar to adopt? Babaji, my son, you should scrutinize your own swabhav, and then you will see the corresponding type of devotion for which you are qualified. A particular ruchi will awaken according to your inherent swabhav, and you should pursue the ras that is indicated by that ruchi. In order to cultivate that ras, you should follow one of Krishna's eternal associates who is perfect in it. To determine ras, it is only necessary to examine your own ruchi.
This
If you,
is when you have risen to the stage of Ruchi and Asakti. Understand who is Bhaktivinoda Thakur talking to. He's talking to Dhamvasis, who are very experienced devotees. When they first began chanting Hare Krishna, after a short space of time, they chanted Shuddhanam directly because their samskars and sukriti were clear. So this is who Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making as the example. He wants to give these truths. You can't just give these truths to people who are not on that platform. But still, he wants to put these truths into the atmosphere so that all souls can consider the ultimate realities. So this is for our aspiration. If you don't have this aspiration, then how will you go forward on this path? What will your aspiration be? If you don't have this aspiration, where will your aspiration be? What will it be? I'm asking the question. What will it be? If it's not this, what else is there? I have no idea. That's why I'm here. It's like, for example, if we've read the beautiful pastime of Prithu Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, and we've seen how a king engages in his government, etc., then we know what is the standard of government. And we can see from the present governments how corrupted and degraded they are in comparison to the perfect governments that we find described in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many kings described in Bhagavatam. Raja Rishis, Yudhisthira Maharaj there, so many. And their rulership was perfect. And all the citizens were happy without envy. Even Dasarath, Lord Ram's father, created his kingdom into a kingdom like Satya Yuga. So if we know that highest conception, then we know by comparison, this degraded situation we are in now. If we think this is normal, then we can become very, disturbed. It's not normal. It's a result of Kali Yuga for many reasons, you know? So therefore we can stand back from it and perceive it in its proper place. So similarly, considering the speciality of the adhikar of these two souls, Rajanath and Vijay Kumar, we can appreciate where we want to come to. We want to aspire for this. So Mark, you mentioned give him the microphone.
Thanks. You mentioned the Hangopasika,
Ahangopasana.
Hangopasana. So, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions they're making an offense if they're in such a mood. But can they be considered devotees even, or just
Devotees of
imitators?
what? Devotees of what?
That's my question.
Because it means you want to be Krishna himself, the supreme bhakta, the supreme enjoyer. That's ultimately the meaning. Perhaps I didn't use that word in the proper context. Ahangopasana is usually used in the sense that somebody who wants to become Krishna themselves.
Oh, you mentioned that they want to become Nanda or Yashoda
Well, it's the
or
same thing.
Subhadra.
Yes, it was the correct context. Yes. If
Mm.
they want to become that person, that means they don't have deeper, sufficient respect for that person in the beginning. We want
So,
to follow. A Raganuga is following the Ragatmikas. Never become them.
mm,
This is Mayavad.
okay.
It's like wanting to become God. You want to become Nanda. You want to become Yashoda. No, 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 no. We want to take on their moods and their bhavs
Mm.
so that we can serve in such an exemplary way they do. Yes? Simple. Hold on to the microphone. You might need it again. Oh, you're reading.
In order to cultivate that ras, you should follow one of Krishna's eternal associates who is perfect in it. To determine ras, it is only necessary to examine your own ruchi. If your ruchi is towards the path of rag, then you should act according to that ruchi. And as long as inclination has not awakened for the path of rag, you should simply execute the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti with firm faith.
Most important. If this mood is not rising in your heart, then follow very, very carefully the injunctions of Vaidhi Bhakti. Very carefully. Vidimag Ratadane. Raj Swadinata Ratnadane. Ragma Karanabare. Krishna will bestow this lobe, enthusiasm, with the strength of your practice. But as long as that hasn't risen, then we stay fixed on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti.
Vijay, Prabhu, I have been studying Srimad Bhagavatam for a long time and I listen to Krishna Leela whenever and wherever I find the opportunity.
This is his qualification. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining Vijay's qualification because Vijay is about to receive his Siddhadeya. So he's actually presenting his qualification here. Go ahead.
Whenever I deliberate on Krishna Leela, a strong bhav arises with my heart to serve the divine couple as Lalita Devi does.
Yes, he wants to follow Lalita Saki. This is what he wants to do. He's read about Lalita Saki, he's heard about Lalita Saki, he appreciates she's prakara, she's apekshika prakara. She can mediate between the divine couple, sometimes supporting Radha, sometimes supporting Krishna, to increase their bliss between each other. This is a very selective seva. So Vijay has become inspired by this mood of Lalita Saki.
Babaji, you need not say any more. You are a Manjari, young maidservant of Lalita Devi. Which service which service do you like? Vijay. I desire that Srimati Lalita Devi should grant me permission to string garlands of flowers. I shall string lovely garlands of beautiful delicate flowers and place them in Lalita Saki's lotus hands. She will look upon me with an infinitely merciful, love laden glance, and then she will place the garlands around the necks of Shishi Radha and Krishna.
Always in service to Lalita Saki, never wanting to become Lalita Saki, wanting to honor her with her service mood.
Babaji, I give you my blessings that you may attain perfection in the goal for which you are undertaking your sadhan. When Vijay heard Babaji Mahashay's affectionate benediction, he fell at the lotus feet of his preceptor and wept.
Preceptor and wept.
Preceptor and wept. Seeing his emotional state, Babaji said, "Go on continually practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti with the same feeling and externally follow the conduct laid down according to the rules of Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti in a regular way."
Yes, we never stop our following of the rules and regulations. That's like our guidelines, our channel.
When Rajanath saw Vijay Kumar's spiritual wealth, he folded his hands and humbly said, "My master, whenever I meditate on Krishna's pastime, a desire arises in my heart to serve him by following in the footsteps of Subal. Babaji, which service do you like?" Rajanath, when the calves wander far off to gaze, I would very much like to bring them back in the company of Subal. When Krishna sits in a place to play upon his flute, I will take the permission of Subal to let the cows drink water, and then I will bring them back to Bhai, brother Krishna. This is my heart's desire.
These moods are in their heart. They're not made up. They're not just sitting there saying something. They actually, there's no institution at this time. There's no sort of competitive spirit between sadhaks that can happen within an institution, that you're trying to um, compete with another sadhak, trying to demonstrate the speciality of your own devotion. This is detrimental to pure devotional service completely. You know, this will happen in an institutional environment, but these personalities, institutions haven't even been manifested at this time. They're just simple personalities who have absorbed their minds, their whole lives practically, in these topics. Rajanath previously was a Nyaya scholar, but still he understood about Krishna and Subal, etc. He was a very soft hearted personality. So he's understood these very deeply. He's really attracted to that. So Babaji is blessing that mood. He's reached a very high stage. It's not for us in a lower stage to speculate. Oh, I want to be a cowherd boy. I want to be a gopi. I want to be a manjari. You wait until we mature and then make a decision. It's like a little kid will say, when I grow up, I want to be a fireman. You know, they say all kinds of things, you know, when they're little. They have no idea how things are. So similarly, in our devotional practice, we just wait until we actually have the greed for these particular identities. Yeah,
Babaji,
hang on.
How, um, I understand they are advanced. They are already very absorbed, but still, how do they know, or how do we know this desire is not a reflection of some material desire? You understand my question? Someone may have a material desire.
How can it be
He
material?
was he was asking about taking the cows to drink, but
Oh, I see.
how do we know it's not something, a reflection of a material desire, that he loves cows and
Mm,
something like that?
mm.
And then you understand.
Because ultimately, Babaji,
Mm.
Guru, is seeing the depth, and Babaji is the pure devotee. So he's witnessing that mood. If somebody is saying from a material perspective, oh, I like to be with cows, I've always been milking cows, I want to be with the cows. But if Guru is there, he might see something distinct from that. So it has to be um, on Guru's, um, uh, he has to support that. Guru will see. Guru, if he's really Guru, if he's Sadguru, he will see totally what is your adhikar and what are you eligible for. He will see that, absolutely. And if you're saying something from a sentimental point of view, which means material point of view, then he will correct you and say, you wait a while. You understand? So it has to be under the tutelage of Guru. It must be. Otherwise, yes, we will fall into this very dangerous place of imagination. This is what I've been
Yeah.
implying for the last 15-20 minutes, not to imagine these situations, because if we imagine, the heart is not going to be, the energy will not be the same. It'll be distorted because it'll be material. The spiritual infusion is something so powerful, you will know about it. It'll reveal itself to you directly, and you'll know that connection with that transcendental party which you aspire for, either the cowherd boys or the gopis, etc. That will just manifest for you after serious practice of absorbing these types of topics. Unfortunately, these types of topics, they're not in the open market. They can't be in the open market because it's not for everybody. This path is very, very selective. It's very, very rare that someone is ready to actually give up their whole self-importance in their material life, their reputation. Is just like the gopis. They gave up everything and come all across to Krishna. It's very, very, very rare. So it's not for the open market. The open market is for Bhagavad Gita, like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He gave that. But there, those devotees who become well versed in that and mature and are still hungry for more understanding of Mahaprabhu, because it all focuses on Mahaprabhu. What has he come to give? He's come to give Rag, Mag, Bhakti, Loke, Karite, Prachan. This is what he's come to give the world. So when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita in particular, this is when I can come very, very close to the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See what is Mahaprabhu experiencing. And on the strength and inspiration from there, my own vision, my own hunger for entering into this transcendental kingdom will increase so much. This is our path. And then that our inner nature will reveal itself. That answer your question?
Yes.
I understand completely what I have many friends who love cows. They work in goshalas and stuff, and they all thinking like that. And I have to preach that. Don't jump the gun. You're not at that position yet. Wait until you're more educated in these topics. Wait until you're easily able to chant 4 or 5, 6 hours every day and immerse ourselves in that process fully. And then all these truths automatically, this is the point, nitya siddhyasya bhavasya prakatam, it's in the heart already. We can't materially impose this identity. The sthai bhav is like the seed of a tree, and it's already there in the heart of all the conditioned souls at birth. You can't change it. If you're like a mango tree, you can't think, oh, I want to be a jackfruit tree or banana. You're already fixed. And you will become very happy in that identity when it starts to unfold. So you will know it. The knowing will be the acknowledgement. The knowing will give you the resolute faith. That's called realization. When you have realization, you never turn back. Right? We're not going to finish the chapter. I thought we might have finished the chapter, but we're not going to. It's okay, because this is a very powerful chapter. It's one of the most powerful chapters. The next chapter we come into is Bhav Bhakti. So now, today we've discussed what is Sambandh Anuga, Raganuga Bhakti. What is Sambandh Anuga Bhakti? And it's focusing on Krishna. And we've heard that Vijay has revealed his inner mood to Babaji, who has blessed him to follow as a manjari. It's saying specifically not to become Lalita Saki. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has made it very clear, because when Bhaktivinoda Thakur manifested his pastimes, there were many Apasiddhantas grown up. Aul, Baul, Sakibed, Gauranagari, so many. And he had to smash and purify all of those misconceptions. So he's doing it here. He knows where the wandering minds can go. So he's trying to make it very, very clear. We are so lucky if you come from the Western world, because we don't have so many preconceived ideas that many Indians have, actually. It's true. We have a very simple process that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada taught us. It's just very, very direct. We haven't included many demigods into our worship. It hasn't happened that way. It's very easy for us to stay on track to Radha and Krishna, whereas for the Indian devotees, it's not as easy, actually. So these are all various considerations. But we'll finish this chapter on Monday, and we can take any questions about the chapter on Monday. And hopefully on Monday, we should begin our chapter 22, which is Bhav Bhakti. After this, chapter 22, we come like back to the sadhana of Nam Tattva for 3 chapters on Nam Tattva. It's like making the whole atmosphere of the internal consciousness very, very pure by putting Nam Tattva first. What is Nam Tattva, what is Nam Abhas, and what is Nam Aparad. And then in the 26th chapter, we can move wholeheartedly, confidently into the rasa arena. We actually physically move from Godrum to Puri. This is where he meets Gopal Guru. We go to Puri to discuss the next stage for the next 14 chapters. And they are completely on the other side of the Viraj River, so to speak. So these are very selective truths, but these are definitely not for everybody. Actually, I was looking at the numbers on the YouTube views, and they've gone down since we've started to discuss this more directly, because it's simply not a general topic. It can challenge, in all different ways, the consciousness. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva-Dharma ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patitanam, Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.
May I ask one more question?
Yes, but